Hey everybody, Ed Homewood, Old Guy Hi-Fi channel. I hope everyone's doing well today. Today should be an interesting video. This is a very fascinating product. This is the TEAC UD-701. It is a DAC and a preamplifier, but it's got some really interesting features. So do me a favor, please sit back, relax, and we'll get going on the review of this product. So what is the TEAC UD-701N? Well, it's kind of a Swiss Army knife. It's a DAC, it's a preamp, it's a headphone amp, it's a network streamer. It's a lot of stuff in one box. It sells for $4,300, so it's not inexpensive, but here's the trick. This shares an awful lot of technology with TEAC's premium brand called Esoteric, which is one of the world's most highly regarded brands. So this has a lot of that Esoteric technology in it for probably a third the price of what the Esoteric product would be. I'll put a few basic specs there. There are a million really good specs. So I will link in the video description to the TEAC USA website. I don't have an affiliation with them, but so you can look at the specs yourself. It's got a ton of different stuff. The basics are really good frequency response, 5 hertz to 80,000. And as far as the DAC goes on USB, it'll do 32-bit, 384, and DSD 512. On SPDIF 24, 192, and DSD 64. Now the cool thing is it has a fully discrete Delta Sigma DAC inside, not a chip, a discrete version of a Delta Sigma. So it really has some cool, interesting features, and we're going to talk about it because we're going to put it on the bench. I'm going to show you the front panel, the back panel. We're going to look at the menuing system. We're going to open it up and dig around inside. There's some really cool engineering going on this. But again, very full features. It's got Bluetooth. It's got a really powerful headphone amplifier. It's a really good preamplifier. It's a really cool piece. So let's do this. Let's go put it on the bench. We'll do all that inside, outside, front, back stuff, and then we'll come back in here and we'll talk more about it. Well, here we are looking at the front panel of the UD-701. I'll go ahead and power it up. Now, you can leave it on and then put the unit in standby from the remote control, which has a lot of features, and you can do a lot of the functions from the unit from the remote control, although the display is a little bit tough to see from a seating distance away. So starting on the left-hand side, power again, balanced XLR headphone, single-ended on 6.3 millimeter, 1/4 inch, and then output. And I'll show you that. Watch the display. When I push that, it was set to line out RCA. It was set to XLR, where I can set it to headphone balance. We get an LED over the balanced headphone jack. If I set it to single-ended, we get an LED over that. So that's output. RCA, XLR out, balanced headphone, unbalanced single-ended headphone. We're going to talk about the menu button in just a second, but source is very simple. So right now it's on USB, and it says check because it's not detecting any signal. Then I have coaxial 1, coaxial 2, optical 1, optical 2, Bluetooth. It has a lot of Bluetooth, as I mentioned. We can come in, line in on RCA. We can come in, line in on balanced XLR, and again, we rotate back to USB. So if I go to coaxial, I push that button to initiate it. Rotate it again, push that button to initiate it. So that's how that works. It also works in conjunction with the menu, and we'll talk about that in a second. Volume control, and I've got it set to display dB. You can set it to be anything you want, 0 to 100, just a random kind of number. And then we've got a USB-A to put in a jump drive if you want to run files from that. Now, menu button, we're going to push that, and it wants to go to sleep a lot, so I'll have to push it more than once, I believe. So right now, net display. Now, normal, we can also set it to be player. This is a network player streamer. It is room capable. As I mentioned, I don't have hardwired networking, so I was never able to use it that way. So I apologize for that. So, sorry, let's go back to menu. As I said, it comes out of that menu pretty quickly. Network, activate, deactivate, left, right balance if we want to adjust that. Line pass-through, that means that we're just using it as a unity gain. We're using either the RCA or the XLR. So that means we could run through this and just have it pass out to an amplifier. So we're going to go ahead and change that. So version, that shows the system's current version. Up convert. Now this allows us to up convert the incoming signal 4 times or 8 times sampling. That's kind of interesting. It also allows us to use a clock, and we can sync it to either DIN async or DIN sync. I was never able to get my clock to work properly with it. XLR, we can change pin to be, we can change the polarity of pin 2 to be hot, or 3 hot, or whatever. So that's interesting. Never needed to use that. Line output variable means we can use this as a preamp. Headphone balanced, headphone XLR is balanced. We can choose which one we want. Right now it shows unbalanced. We've already gone through that. Dimmer adjusts the brightness, auto off time, things like that. Volume type, I can have it display in decibels, or just, as I mentioned, a kind of just an indication 0 to 100. Display type, we can have it display the volume, or I can have it display the sampling frequency. We have auto power off, and again, if it doesn't detect a signal, it will turn itself off. Now, delta sigma allows us to do a couple of different things. We can go 128 times, we can go 256, or 512 times up conversion using the delta sigma. Then we can also use the delta sigma for PCM. We can upconvert everything to DSD, or we can leave everything as a standard PCM format. And then DSD low pass filter, we have two choices. We have the low pass filter 1 and low pass filter 2. These are also available when you're upconverting PCM to DSD. And then we go net display style, player, we come back to where we were before and deactivate. So that's the menuing system and the front panel of the TEAC UD-701. Let's spin it around and look at the back. Well, here we are looking at the back panel of the 701, and you'll see we have a line input single-ended and XLR for right channel, single-ended XLR for left channel, line out single-ended XLR for right channel, line out single-ended XLR for left channel. We have a little USB socket for firmware upgrades, Bluetooth antenna, RJ45 network jack to put this on your network to use as a streamer if you want to. We have two coaxial SPDIF inputs, two Toslink SPDIF inputs. We've got a USB-A. You could plug a hard drive or other, storage media in there to access if you want to play files from that. We have a clock input, USB-B. Over here we have an RS-232 and a D-sub-9 pin for system control and things like that. And again, you can use this with a system called Open Home I mentioned in the introduction. Trigger in and out, IEC power socket. That's it on the back panel of this 701. Well, here we are looking at the inside of the TEAC UD-701N, and I've got it zoomed in tightly. So this is the back panel, this is the front of the unit, and I wanted to get in tight so you could see what was actually going on here. Linear power supply, big power toroidal power transformer. You'll notice there are 4 transformers. This is really key. There are separate left and right analog transformers. So this unit is completely fully balanced in every regard possible. So, there are Delta Sigma DAC units out there that have 2 chips per channel. But again, this is a discrete Delta Sigma DAC. It is not a DAC on a chip. So it's fully balanced left, right, analog, digital, everything is balanced out. Really remarkable. The quality of the construction is quite high. I don't know what the DAC chip looks like. I don't know what the discrete DAC looks like. There are obviously 2 per channel, and I have a feeling that that's what we're seeing here with these resistors and these components here. There is an FPGA under here. There's also an ARM processor there. Everything is controlled by the FPGA, and it incorporates TEAC's original algorithms. They've developed all of the software for that field programmable gate array, FPGA. Now, the analog signals are output with high audio quality. The DSD signals are transmitted as is, while PCM signals are transmitted after passing through the Delta Sigma modulator, and they are converted either to 1-bit or multi-bit signals according to how you have the unit set up. So I think it's really interesting in this completely dual mono. Anywhere you see the capacitor that's going through, the signal paths going through, they are ELNA caps, very high quality. The rest of these are Sumicons, which are also very high quality caps. The layout of this is phenomenal. It is a really well implemented, very well engineered preamp DAC. Got a lot of functions in it and a lot of choices in the software, which you saw when we were looking at the front panel. So anyway, beautiful layout, very interesting, and it's a discrete Delta Sigma DAC, not a chip-based Delta Sigma DAC. I think that's unique. And also, too, I believe this is carryover technology from TEAC's very high-end brand called Esoteric. So anyway, let's button this thing up, head back into the studio, and we'll finish up this review. Well, as you can see from looking inside, the UD-701 is really well constructed. It shares, 4 toroidal power supplies and a preamp DAC headphone amp. It shares a lot of technology with TEAC's ultra premium brand Esoteric. So you get a lot of that really great engineering and really super clean sound quality for a lot less money with this piece compared to the Esoteric. Now, the Esoteric does some other stuff that's truly amazing, but man, this is a good piece. And at $4,300, it's not stupid expensive. Anyway, I think it's fascinating, a fully discrete Delta Sigma DAC. Rather than using a chip-based DAC, something off the shelf, they developed their own. And that's just a thing with TEAC. It is very much an engineering top-heavy company, absolutely, for sure. And you can see it in the way their products are put together. So a fully discrete Delta Sigma. Now, the interesting thing is it can take DSD in natively. So if you're big on DSD files and that kind of thing, this is a way to go. Now, for PCM, you have the option, and this is cool, to run through the Delta Sigma modulator. Again, not a chip, it's fully discrete, and you can convert it to either a 1-bit file, which is kind of like DSD, or multi-bit, which is, of course, normal PCM file, and then you have the choice of oversampling it up to 512 times and all different kinds of filter combinations and everything else. So as a DAC by itself, it is remarkable, and I did use it as a DAC alone, and we'll talk about that in the summary. So I think it's a really fascinating piece. Now, as a preamplifier, well, first, as a headphone amplifier, it is quite good. On balanced, it's 700 milliwatts at 32 ohms, and on single-ended, I think it's either 400 or 500 milliwatts at 32 ohms on single-ended, and really good sound quality, very immediate, very clean, very detailed sound quality, which is kind of a hallmark of TEAC's kind of house sound to begin with. Now, as a preamplifier, it uses that TEAC's proprietary high current line drive system for the, again, fully differential balanced internally, and it has a load of juice. It will drive the amplifier. It'll give the amplifier a really good signal. It's very dynamic. Transients are greatly done, and I'll talk about it more in the summary of it. But this has a lot of power and a lot of ability to go from 0 to 60 really, really quickly. Just really well constructed. Now, I may have failed to mention it. It does do MQA. All right, the two people out there that care about it, now you know. But it is a remarkable piece. So let's do this. Let me briefly go over some of the music I used. We'll come back, I'll summarize, and we'll get you out of here pretty quickly. Now, as a bit of an addendum to the testing function, I did fail to mention that it does have Bluetooth built in, and it does all of the high-resolution codecs that you would ever want. So that's a nice feature. It is also a streamer. Now, I don't have hardwired network down here to the media room, so I have no way of testing it. But you can, and it does support smart home apps, and so you can use it for Open Home, the TEAC HR streamer. It'll also do Roon RAT, which is Roon Advanced Audio Transport, Spotify Connect, Tidal, Qobuz, TuneIn, so all of your normal streaming functions. And again, I was unable to test it. It will do with a function called bulk PET USB transfer. I have no idea what that is. I guess you can transfer files from a NAS drive to this and use it that way as well. Again, that's not something I tested. So anyway, let's talk about some of the music now. So I listened to a lot of stuff on this. Obviously, I could feed it from Artivana, and so I listened to a lot of different music, but I picked a couple of standouts for me that you can listen to. Now, the first one is, and I've used some of these tracks or these albums before, but it's Oscar Peterson Trio, and it's called We Get Requests from 1964. Now, this was a wonderful album, an amazing album, highly regarded, and I hate to use the term audiophile, but a beautiful album. It was recorded at RCA Studios in October of '64, and it is one of the best 60s jazz recordings you will ever hear. It is pristine. It is gorgeous. Oscar Peterson is an absolute wizard on the piano. You've got Ray Brown on bass, you've got Ed Thigpen on drums. Just a beautiful, beautiful sound. There's wonderful music. It's recorded. It's very rich. Everybody's in the same room playing at the same time, and they feed off of that. Just beautiful. And Oscar Peterson, I swear to God, the guy's got 3 hands or 27 fingers. It's just amazing how intricate his playing can be, and how accurate and how wonderful and how lyrical, and what a touch he has. He can play, he can bang the piano, or he can just tinkle at the keys just gently, and it sounds wonderful. It's a beautiful, beautiful album. I encourage you to listen to it. It is well worth your time, I promise. So the next recording I used was this from Kevin Mallon and the Toronto Chamber Orchestra. It is Joseph Haydn's Symphonies number 62, 107, and 108. and you Haydn fans will detect an issue with that. We'll talk about it in a second. This was recorded in 2008 at St. Anne's Church in Toronto, Canada, and it is a beautiful, lush, wonderful recording. Now, Symphony Number 62 is one of the relatively unknown middle period symphonies, kind of composed around 1780 when Haydn was in the employ of the Esterházy family, which is a very prominent Hungarian noble family, and they were very much patrons of the arts, very philanthropic, not only Haydn, but painters and sculptors and all sorts of other stuff. Now, the interesting thing is symphonies, Haydn only, according to everybody's, basic listings, Haydn only wrote 106 symphonies. So what's 107 and 108? Well, these are in fact very early works that were kind of later discovered after the official kind of numbering was done by the classical music cognoscenti. And so they were early pieces, so they had to fit them in somewhere. They just labeled them 107 and 108. Now, the interesting thing is both were scored for pairs of oboes, horns, strings, and harpsichord. They're beautiful. And under the baton of Kevin Mallon, the Toronto Chamber Orchestra is just wonderful. The pacing is beautiful. The detail is beautiful. The musicianship is really exemplary. And again, that recording in St. Anne's Church, you just get this sense of space that is so wonderful. And this does a good job of bringing it out. It does have a very, very good detail. So we're going to talk about that in the summary, which is the next section of this video. So the TEAC UD-701N. This is a remarkable piece, and I probably beat it to death. This is very much got that technology and sonic signature and kind of care and design and engineering that goes into Esoteric products for a lot less money. As a preamplifier, it's quite good. I wasn't blown away by it. It is fully balanced. It's got good power. It is very dynamic and very good in that regard, but a little cold and a little neutral, which is very much the TEAC sound signature. As a DAC, now that is a bit of a different story. It is remarkable. It is one of the better DACs that I've heard. It is not R-to-R, it is Delta Sigma, but not being chip-based, and the way they do it and the way they use their Delta Sigma modulator, this doesn't have a lot of that oversampling, switching artifact noise that you get in chips. It's just beautifully detailed, very smooth. You can listen way deep into the music. It resolves the details, just absolutely beautiful. And I tried a bunch of different settings on it, and I found that running it at 128 oversampling and running it as multi-bit, to me, gave me the best sound, or at least the one that I preferred. It was just wonderful. Now, I did run a CD transport in it, the Shanling ET3. I did run Artavan into it. That's mostly how I stream. And it rewarded me with some of the best sound I've heard out of a DAC. How does it compare to other products? You know what? It smokes just about everything else. I do have a strong preference for the live harmony. I do have a strong preference typically for R-to-R ladder DACs, and the harmony still is an absolutely wonderful DAC, but it's less than half the price of this. This, I think, competes up in the area of Hi-Fi Rose and maybe some of the really premium brands. I don't know if it's quite there with a Mola Mola Tambaki, but it is definitely one of the best DACs I've ever heard, without question, as a DAC. As a preamp, it's a good preamp. As a headphone amp, it's a very good headphone amp, but as a DAC, it shines. This is really detailed. It lets you listen deep into the music. Everything I thought was super well delineated and refined. Bass was great. Mids were great. The detail was fabulous. This is one of the most detailed DACs I've ever listened to. Now, a lot's going to depend on what you've got it plugged into. I use this as a DAC alone with a number of different preamps. Some tube bass, some solid state, running into a bunch of different amps, some tubes, some solid state, some Class A, some Class AB, some Class D. And it rewarded me with just some of the most amazing sound I've ever heard. It is truly remarkable. It is very detailed, very, very clean, not dead neutral. There's a little something going on in there, and it's hard to define what it is because this is now exposed me to a DAC in a category that I don't normally get a chance to hear, but it is quite remarkable, very resolving, and when you put it with a resolving system, it is just rewards you with detail and richness and texture, and man, it's amazing. Now, up through the mid-range, because most of the time with Delta Sigma DACs, I have an issue with the kind of the mid-range up, especially with the SS. With the upper kind of mid-range and low treble, nothing. This is just smooth and super highly detailed. everything that's in that stream, that data stream coming into this, you get, and you get just absolutely clean and detailed and razor sharp and just wonderful. Not too sharp, not fatiguing. If you use this with like the AP507 TEAC monoblock or stereo amps that I was running as monoblocks, yeah, it can be maybe a little bit too much detail. But again, with some of the other combinations, again, it's all about finding synergy. With some of the other combinations, without question, this is one of the finest DACs I've ever heard. Absolutely, no question about it. Big thumbs up. If you can afford it and you don't need the preamp, well, if you want the preamp, you might like it. This is just an absolute wonderful piece. Truly, truly high-end. No question about it. Well, hopefully you thought the review was high-end. I know, bad segue. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the review, and hopefully you'd be willing to give me a like and your subscription. That would count a lot, and I'd be grateful for that. I'd like to take a moment and thank my channel members, my subscribers, and my viewers. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I appreciate it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there will be a link to TEAC USA's website, not because I have any affiliation, I don't, but there are so many specifications and things about this because you've got a lot of stuff packed into one box. So talking about the headphone amp, talking about the preamp, and talking about that amazing discrete Delta Sigma DAC system. Again, there'll be a link so you can find out more if you want to dig deeper into it. There will also be a link to Qobuz and Tidal links to the 2 albums I spoke of. There will be a channel membership link in the pinned comment and the video description if you are so inclined. There will also, if you want to support the channel and you're watching on your device or a PC, down in the bottom, kind of along the right edge of the video window is a thank you button. If you want to support me that way, I would appreciate that. There are going to be some affiliate links in the in the video description. I don't have an affiliation with TEAC, that's fine. There will be a link to the community post playlist. Please check that out. Please comment, let me know your thoughts. This is a remarkable piece of gear. This is something that is new for me, a new experience for me, and it is, I still am trying to sort out everything in my brain about what this is capable of doing because, it is on another level. And it is wonderful. So let me know your thoughts about all of that. So again, please like, please subscribe, please comment. You can follow me on Instagram. I do pop up there every once in a while. I've covered all the bases on the TEAC UD-701. Remarkable piece. No question about it. Anyway, my name is Ed Homewood. This is the Old Guy Hi-Fi channel. And guess what I'm going to tell you? Please take an hour, take 2 hours, put on some really beautiful music, sit back, listen to it, and just let the cares of the day wash away and let your blood pressure come down and just enjoy the balance of your day. Thank you so much for your time. I'm grateful for it. I really hope you have a wonderful day.